Doing hundreds of crunches is not going to make that six-pack appear if you're not in a calorie deficit. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new to this channel, what have you been doing? You probably eat oatmeal. Just kidding. If you are new to the channel, my name is Rose. I am a vegan fitness coach for women. I have a 3-month online program that will teach you how you can achieve your dream plant-based body. So if you are looking for the most sustainable way to live forever while looking good, apply below and let's get talking. Okay, so I have a very exciting and highly requested video for you guys. We're talking abs, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret that for abs, for a 6-pack, for even 8-packs, if your genetics allow you to have that many, there is no secret. It is diet and training. But in this video, you are going to learn how to actually train properly and what exercises are the most effective. So stick around. This is going to be super in-depth, and exactly what has worked for me has worked for hundreds of my clients. But as always, disclaimer, different things work for different people. So let's get started. So number one, I just have to address that there is no secret for abs. There really is no secret. It comes down to diet, because you have to be at a low body fat percentage, and then it comes down to what you're doing to train them, because just being lean, having a flat stomach does not mean that you have a strong core. So myth number one, spot reduction. Spot reduction is 100% a myth. Doing hundreds and hundreds of crunches or doing crazy exercise routines, thigh blasters, I don't even know what's out there, I don't even care to look, but doing hundreds of crunches is not going to make that 6-pack appear if you're not in a calorie deficit. So exercise increases your energy expenditure. Reducing the amount of food you put in your mouth will put you in a caloric deficit. And those two things together mean that your body is going to need extra fuel. And what better fuel than your fat storages? So that's how it works with energy balance. You really cannot out-train a diet. You cannot do hours of cardio and then not have any control of your nutrition and then put back all the calories that you burned. So that is number one. But number two is that you have to train your abs properly. You really have to treat your abs like any other muscle, and resistance training is going to be the absolute best because you have to build your abdominal muscles. And that is going to come with progressive overload, so doing more over time. And I've found that it's much more effective to, first of all, really nail the form, understand how you need to feel and activate your abs, and then when you're ready to progress, add weight instead of just doing more and more reps. So let's have a quick anatomy and physiology lesson and talk about what these ab muscles actually are. So our core is so much more important than just aesthetics. Our core helps us breathe. Our core helps us with our posture, our balance, and our core protects our lower back. So it's super important to first have a connection to your core. Think about it in everything that you do. Think about bracing. Think about everything drawn in like a diamond in your pelvis. And you have to have that awareness, and you have to understand how to feel those deep core muscles working, because that is just setting you up for a lifetime of good movement patterns and just good health overall. So the muscle groups of focus in your abdominal region are your transverse abdominis, That is a really, really, really deep core muscle. Then your rectus abdominis, and that is the six-pack muscle. So that is that front muscle with all the little pockets that you'll see when you're lean. And the rectus abdominis will flex the spine. So that is the function of the rectus abdominis. And then you have your external obliques and your internal obliques. They differ with the direction of the muscle fibers, and they support your trunk rotation and also help flex the spine. So you have to think about what all those muscles are and what all those muscles are doing. So let's start with the rectus abdominis. I found that you really have to have heavy squats and heavy deadlifts in your programming overall. Those really help activate a lot of those muscle fibers and really just emphasize having a strong core because of all of that weight you have to support. So that is definitely key in my programming, but I'm going to focus on talking about what we can do to isolate the abs, isolation exercises. So the crunch is going to be a main core exercise, and the crunch is performing the function of the rectus abdominis, which is flexing the spine. So very key here to talk about the form for the crunch. Before you start progressing into throwing weight in your hands or doing a weighted cable crunch, you have to make sure that you can be on the ground performing a crunch with your lower back pressed into the ground, and when you come up to peak contraction, you really have that mind-muscle connection going. So often people do not have that core strength yet, and then their lower back will hollow, and that is not good because in ab training you want to make sure that you're focusing on the muscle groups and not allowing the other muscle groups such as the lower back region and your psoas muscle, which is your hip flexor, take over, because that could cause imbalance, injury, and it's not really doing anything for the core itself. So definitely make sure that you can do a crunch and actually feel that activation. That hollow back that happens when you can't press your back into the ground when doing a crunch or any type of ab movement is called hyperlordosis, which is just an extended, exaggerated lumbar curve. So you just want to make sure that you are progressing your crunch once you are ready to. And the best types of crunch progressions are a weighted crunch, a cable crunch, or my favorite that I call a hollow to crunch. So you have a weight in your hands, you have a weight wrapped around your feet, and you are crunching up and then returning back to a hollow position. My ladies love that one. This next exercise is the best ab exercise, and it really targets your lower abs. So this is going to be the leg lift. So there are a ton of variations for this one, but I suggest starting with a simple on the ground knee raise. So this one form is key as well, because just like your back can round when you're doing a crunch, when you're doing any type of leg lift or leg type raise movement, your psoas are going to take over. Your psoas are your hip flexors right in front of your hips, and then you're working that hip flexor and you're not working your abs, and this can cause really sore hip flexors injury or just wasted time because you're not training your abs. So it's important to progress these really nicely and make sure that you're not attaching weight at your feet or ankles. You're not doing a hanging leg raise until you really can feel like when you are doing that leg lift, that leg raise off the ground, you're not just lifting your legs, but you're really bringing your lower abs toward your upper abs in that crunch type position. Because remember, the function of the rectus abdominis is to flex the spine. So you're not just bringing your legs up and down, you're actually rounding at the top, thinking about bringing your lower abs to meet your upper abs, and that is going to be activating all of those muscle fibers of the rectus abdominis as well. So when it's done properly, this is the best ab exercise to do. So The progressions for these are as follows. I'll start on the ground with a knee raise. So you don't even have to keep your legs straight at first, just practice that motion of bringing your knees up and then having that crunch at the top. And you can totally put your hands under your back to support it as well. Then I would suggest progressing from the knee raise to the leg raise. Then I would suggest progressing to a decline bench leg raise. Then you can add some weight if you can do all of that, but then eventually progress to a hanging leg raise. And that's really key. Still, not to just lift your legs, but focus on that curve, that crunch, and also not use your momentum, not swing. And of course, before you get to that hanging, you can practice with the knee raise as well, just that crunch. I really can't do a perfect hanging leg raise myself. It's very difficult, and in order to do that, you will need some grip strength as well, and that's why we do pull-ups, which that'll be a whole another video. So for the rectus abdominis, it's going to be the crunch, it's going to be the leg raise, and make sure you are not allowing any other muscle groups to take over, that everything is coming from that core. And then last but not least, for your obliques, I recommend doing leg raises, leg lifts with a little bit off to the side to get that side rotation, that crunch. I also really like cable wood choppers, and when you go across your body. I do not like the side bend. That is actually one of the best exercises for the obliques in terms of the amount of muscle fibers it recruits, but I personally think it makes me look blocky, and a lot of my female clients that I work with also think that they look blocky doing that. So definitely, if it works for you, that's awesome, but me personally, I stay away from that. And then if you want to know how many sets and reps you need to do, that is also personal preference. However, I don't recommend going more than 15 or 20 reps. That is just going to be cardio. And with sets and reps, it's just like training any other muscle. You want to periodize your training, meaning that you want to focus on lower reps, lifting heavier weight, and higher reps, lifting more moderate weight, and making sure that you have that progressive overload. You have that progressive overload in your program, meaning that over time, you're just challenging yourself to do more. And that is really what is going to make those abs pop once you are in that low body fat percent range through your diet. So that is it. There is no huge secret. It's not going to happen overnight. I've been doing weighted abs for probably over a year, and it probably took me at least 6 months to be able to actually see a difference. But I promise you, if you are trying it this way, it is going to take time, but it will be super effective, super worth it. It's science. It's abs or any type of muscle. If you want to train a muscle, you are going to have to use progressive overload. So definitely, let me know if you have any more questions, and stay tuned because I'm coming out with something very special to really teach you all of my progressions. It might be a course, so stay tuned. But also, guys, just remember that do what works best for you. If you found something that is really working and that you enjoy, you don't have to change anything, and everyone is different, and not everyone will look the same because genetics is such a big part of it. Not everyone can get an 8-pack. No matter how much weight you add to your crunch, it's just not going to happen if the genetics aren't there. So you just want to strive to be the best version of yourself. All right, wise words from Rose. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned. I have a lot more content coming regarding plants and recipes and abs. So until next time, you guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you later.